So, hi everyone. In this class, we will see the rectus sheath. Rectus sheath acts as a retinaculum for the rectus abdominis muscle in the anterior abdominal wall. So, in this class, we will see the mode of formation of rectus sheath, boundaries, and contents of the rectus sheath. So, in the image, you can see one side the rectus abdominis muscle is represented as RA and rectus sheath is represented as RS. So you can see the rectus sheath in the picture. It's an aponeurotic envelope for the rectus abdominis muscle on each side of the linea alba. Linea alba you can see in the midline of the anterior abdominal wall, and on each side this aponeurosis is present as if like a envelope for the rectus abdominis muscle. Mode of formation of rectus sheath. Principle of the formation of the sheath. Otherwise, how this sheath is formed is mainly in the splitting of the aponeurosis of the internal oblique muscle. Only this muscle splitting at the lateral border of the rectus abdominis muscle forms this rectus sheath, mainly by the aponeurosis of the internal oblique muscle splitting. The splitting extends from the costal margin to the midway between the umbilicus and pubic symphysis. So it is only from costal margin to the midway between the umbilicus and pubic symphysis. Below that extent, the internal oblique muscle or the aponeurosis splitting is not present. Above the costal margin also, the internal oblique does not extend. So the sheath is different at different levels. So this is the mode of formation of the rectus sheath. Boundaries of the rectus sheath. Each sheath presents anterior and posterior walls and two margins, medial and lateral margins. So anterior wall. Anterior wall is complete. So there's a difference between anterior wall and posterior wall. Posterior wall will be incomplete in the midline or somewhat below the umbilicus. Anterior wall is complete. It differs in thickness at different levels. If you see in the image, you can see the three tendinous intersections of the rectus abdominis muscle. The anterior wall of the sheath is adherent to this anterior surface of the muscle along this three tendinous intersections. So one way of learning this topic is learning anterior wall and posterior wall together at each level, or learning anterior wall and posterior wall separately for all the three levels. So now we are seeing this anterior wall and posterior wall at each levels. Anterior wall above the costal margin is thin and is formed solely by the aponeurosis of the external oblique. So in the picture you can see only the EAQ, that is the external oblique aponeurosis. EAO, that is the external aponeurosis, that is oblique muscle. The posterior wall is deficient, so there is no posterior wall here, and rests on the 5th, 6th, 7th costal cartilages. So in this level above the costal margin there is no internal oblique muscle. So only anterior wall is formed by the aponeurosis of the external oblique muscle. From the costal margin to the midway between umbilicus and pubic symphysis, this is the level where the internal oblique aponeurosis split. So if you see anterior wall and posterior wall in this diagram, in this splitting of this internal oblique aponeurosis is present in the anterior wall and posterior wall, apart from the external oblique muscle in the anterior wall and the transverse abdominis muscle in the posterior wall. So the anterior wall is thicker at this level, formed by the anterior lamella of aponeurosis of internal oblique and the aponeurosis of external oblique. Anterior lamella, that is the split layer, one layer, anterior layer of the aponeurosis of internal oblique. Posterior wall will be formed by the same posterior lamella of the aponeurosis of the internal oblique, blending with the transversus abdominis muscle. So this is this level only, the internal oblique splitting and joins with the anterior external oblique in the anterior wall and joins with the transverse abdominis in the posterior wall. At the lower extent of the posterior wall, you can see a free margin known as arcuate line, which is concave downward. So the posterior wall is deficient below this arcuate line. Below the arcuate line, what is anterior wall and what is posterior wall? Anterior wall is formed, all the three aponeuroses pass anterior to the rectus abdominis muscle in this level. So anterior wall is thickest at this level, formed by the fusion of the aponeurosis of three flat muscles of the abdomen. That is, in the image you can see, anterior wall is formed by external oblique muscle, oblique aponeurosis, internal oblique aponeurosis and transverse abdominis aponeurosis. So there is no posterior wall. So we told below arcuate line, it is deficient. So now you should have understood that anterior wall is complete and posterior wall is deficient. So the posterior wall is deficient at this level. Rectus muscle is covered by the, so what is present in this posterior wall? It is not the posterior wall of the rectus sheath, it is the fascia transversalis which is present in this posterior. So rectus sheath at three different levels you can see: above costal margin, between costal margin and arcuate line, and below arcuate line. So as we told, this rectus sheath peculiarity itself is the splitting of the internal oblique aponeurosis between costal margin and arcuate line. Above that there is no internal oblique muscle. So below that also the internal oblique passes in front of the rectus abdominis muscle. So you can see nicely the differences between three levels, between the walls in three levels. Above the costal margin, it is anterior wall is formed only by the external oblique aponeurosis, and the rectus abdominis muscle rests on the costal cartilages, 5th, 6th and 7th costal cartilages. Between the costal margin and arcuate line only, this rectus sheath is complete in the anterior and posterior. Anteriorly formed by the aponeurosis of external oblique and the anterior lamella of the internal oblique. Posterior wall is formed by the posterior lamella of internal oblique and by the transverse abdominis aponeurosis in the middle part. Below the arcuate line, all the three aponeuroses pass anteriorly and the rectus abdominis muscle rests on the fascia transversalis. Medial margin of the rectus sheath. Medial margin of the rectus sheath is formed by the linea alba, which is produced by the interlacement of the aponeurotic fibers of the three flat muscles of the abdomen. Below the umbilicus it is linear, but above that it is wide. Attachments of the linea alba: above it is attached to the tip of the xiphoid process, below to the upper margin of the symphysis pubis. If you see from its lower end, it presents two expansions, that will be the suspensory ligament of the penis and adminiculum linea alba. So these are, if the linea alba is asked as short notes, you should add this extensions also. So by the side I have covered in a little detail of the linea alba also. Now lateral margin. Lateral margin of this rectus sheath is formed by the linea semilunaris. It is a curved fibrous line extending from the pubic tubercle to the tip of the ninth costal cartilages. What is its importance is anterior rami of the lower six thoracic nerves enter the rectus sheath after passing across this line between the aponeuros of the internal oblique and transversus muscles. Therefore, a surgical incision along this line of anterior abdominal wall, it is not wise. It may produce segmental paralysis of the rectus abdominis muscle due to the injury of the lower thoracic nerves. So, along the lateral margins, all the 6 nerves passes. So, this is the rectus sheath. Medial margin, you can see the linea alba. Lateral margin, it is marked by the dotted lines. That is the linea semilunaris. Through this, passing this line, lower 6 intercostal nerves passes. Anterior rami of the lower 6 intercostal nerves pass. So, it is not wise to give an incision along the lateral margin of the rectus sheath. Contents of the rectus sheath. Muscles are the rectus abdominis and pyramidalis. Pyramidalis is not the constant muscle, it is present in some individuals. Vessels, inferior epigastric and superior epigastric. Nerves, lower 5 intercostal nerves and the subcostal nerve. So, these are the contents of the rectus sheath. Pyramidalis, it is muscle is absent sometimes on one or the both sides. Peculiarities. So, these are the contents. So, we have covered in detail of the rectus sheath, for mode of formation, boundaries of the rectus sheath and contents of the rectus sheath. So, this may be asked as short notes or as an essay we have to prepare. If it is asked as an essay, we have to write the details of the contents also in detail. So, we will conclude this class and the next topic we will continue in the next class.